Hello, everyone. Welcome to 49ers Friday, the least creatively named show on YouTube. We're your hosts, Cohn, Rob Schuh. Pleasure to see you. We have a big show today, so we don't want to have like a long throat-clearing intro, but Rob does want to let you know what he's going to be doing later today.
Absolutely. Immediately following this show with Grant, I'm going to be going live on my channel to keep the discussion going. My channel is simply Rob Schuh. Check it out, find it, subscribe, and join me after the show.
That's SCHUH, not SHOE, just as I am COHN, not CONE.
Correct,
right.
sir.
Okay, let's talk.
Let's talk.
Let's talk Trey Lance's development. Has there been any? Will it happen? I'm excited for the idea of it. What have you seen?
So Rich Eisen was on his show talking about this hot seat idea for Kyle Shanahan. Is there, in fact, any heat underneath the seat of the great Kyle Shanahan? And he was indignant when asked if there should be heat underneath the seat of Coach Shanahan. He said, and I quote, "He's one of the sharpest minds in football."
Thanks, Rich.
I agree with that.
Okay.
He'd be on the street for 3 minutes. Also probably true. But then he went on to say, what coach would you hire that would pair up better with Lance? He's perfect for the situation. And that begs the question, what evidence do we have that Kyle Shanahan has successfully developed a rookie quarterback?
None.
So
I just want to say real quick before we move on from Rich Eisen, can we just remember that Rich Eisen was the dude who came out last year really indignantly again after free agency? It was before the season. Someone on Yahoo, Frank Schwab, said the Niners had like the worst, one of the losers of the offseason. This was right before they went 6-10. Rich Eisen just really ridiculed the writers. Who is this guy? And then he went on to have a very condescending, arrogant rant about how the Niners had the best offseason in the league just by keeping themselves together and adding Trent Williams. Of course, he was wrong. But I think it's important to remember that fact and see a pattern that maybe he knows Kyle. You know, maybe this is like a friend helping a friend out because he's done it before and been wrong.
Perhaps a bit of an apologist.
You got to remember that Rich Eisen was big in the 90s when I was a kid, and Kyle Shanahan's dad was big in the 90s, winning championships. So I'm sure these people know each other pretty well. And the fact that Rich is just so in Kyle Shanahan's corner right now when really no one else in the world is makes me kind of think that there's probably like a 3 degrees of Kevin Bacon going on here.
It makes sense that the puzzle pieces fit. The timeline.
So take it with a grain of salt when Rich Eisen comes out. He's like really bigging up a friend, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, there was emotion in his answer. I will say that. There was
emotion last year when he was talking about Frank Schwab. It's like, dude, it's not your brother. It's not your son.
There were no facts that he spit out in his argument. It was purely just indignance at how dare you question this. I don't even need to warrant it with right. I don't even need to respond because it's so far out in left field. But going back through the numbers, so I wanted to drag back through. Shout out to East Bay Chris for the Rob Schuh comment.
Shout out.
I wanted to go back through his career and look at it and actually examine what type of development Kyle has provided for his quarterback.
That's
so I went back.
The most important thing here. That was a little digression. Sorry about that.
A little digression, but we get back to the topic eventually. That's what we do. We're great. So we go back to 2007 when Coach Shanahan joins the Texans. Right? He's the quarterback coach in his second year with the Texans, 2007. His quarterback is Matt Schaub. So we look at the development of Matt Schaub going for the next 3 years. 2007, when Kyle Shanahan is the quarterback's coach. 2008 and 2009, where he's the offensive coordinator. And you actually do see some progression here. You see 2,200 yards his first season, 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Not spectacular. His second season under Kyle Shanahan, first year as an offensive coordinator, bumps up to a 3,000-yard passing season, 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Then takes the next step in 2009 with 4,700 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. So this is actual progression. But what we're talking about with Matt Schaub is not a rookie quarterback. He had played his first 3 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons, and this was the 4th year for him.
Right. This period was when he was 26 to 28. And I think what we've seen with Kyle, and you were going to get into the whole future of him, but what he does best is take a vet like Schaub or Matt Ryan and put a good system around him.
Right.
You know, I'll give you a running game. I'll give you a play action passing game. So it's not all on you. And I'll make life easier for you. But those guys were already developed when Kyle didn't have to develop them and work on their reads or their mechanics or anything other than, okay, you're a fully formed NFL quarterback. Now here's a good system to complement you.
Right. Here's the greatest system that I've concocted that will make you successful if only you listen to me and do the things that I've instructed you to do.
And it's not going to look good the first year.
Right.
It may not look good the second year, but eventually it'll look very good.
It will. As soon as you master my system, it will look great.
And if
so
we don't all
fast
get fired
forward
in the meantime, in between time.
Yeah. Kyle then obviously leaves the Texans to join Papa Shanahan in 2010. And for the first year, I think we can just sort of write it off. We'll talk about it because it's who his quarterbacks were, but it's sort of irrelevant to the conversation. He has Donovan McNabb for a single year and a few games with Rex Grossman. So 3,400 yards, 14 touchdowns, 15 picks for Donovan. He's at the tail end of his career. First season there, I believe, in Shanahan's system, right?
Just a totally wasted first year in Washington. That's good. Kind of like the first year with the Niners. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, a bridge to Rex Grossman and John Beck in the second year.
A bridge to nowhere. Okay.
Yeah, a bridge to an island that you don't want to be on with Rex Grossman and John Beck. So 2011, Kyle Shanahan's second year with his dad, 3,100 yards, 16 touchdowns, 20 interceptions for Rex Grossman, 858 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks for John Beck. So neither one of them lighting the world on fire.
Year 2?
Year 2.
Oh my God. Wow. Amazing that they could waste that much time. Wow.
When you devote yourself to Rex Grossman, that's the type of returns you gonna get.
John Beck. You know, I think I remember covering a game in 2011 in Washington that John Beck freaking started. I think the Niners won like 19-7. I don't know. I think I actually saw John Beck play in person, and I think I did. It's not a great time.
And I think people were playing him up as if within the Shanahan system he was going to have success, that there were glimmers of hope that John Beck might be the future.
They like him.
Yeah, solid.
He was the original Nick Mullins.
Taking us back in time.
Hey, man, if Trey and Jimmy can't play this weekend, they might need to get Mullins. All right, sorry, that's another digression. Let's come back.
Bring it back. So flash forward, 2012. Here we go. Finally, something relevant to the conversation. Robert Griffin III arrives in Washington, along with his cohort, Kirk Cousins.
So the two of them, yeah.
Yes.
And remember, we knew the way this happened was the owner said draft RG3.
You must.
Kyle, young, precocious Kyle, he's probably in his 20s at this point, says no. Kirk freaking Cousins is better. And everyone's like, what? What are you talking about? And he's like, no, I'm serious. We're going to take both. Just let me take my guy. So right off the bat, he's given a real vote of confidence to RG3. We really don't like you.
I like you so much.
Wants you, and I'm going to coach you in spite of him.
And I'm going to run you into the ground, which he proceeds to do. Yeah. 2012, 3,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 picks, 65% completion percentage. I mean, a hell of a rookie season for Robert Griffin III. Yeah. And we see what that season of running the football does to his career. He was better that year than
Russell Wilson was. He was a good player that year.
Yes.
He was.
But again, another instance of a really talented individual coming in. Yeah. You have to question what level of that success was Robert Griffin just being a wildly talented individual, and what level was Shanahan developing his young player.
Right, because with Griffin, it wasn't like, look, we're going to use you in our offense. It was like, all right, well, you're this other kind of quarterback that we didn't want, but we're so good, so we're going to just build a whole new offense. And basically they went with a college spread style offense. He ran a bunch. He got hurt. Another guy who didn't slide. So, and I think what we're seeing is not to jump the gun here, but that's what we saw with Lance this week. They didn't put Lance into their offense. They're like, we have to do something totally different. And it's different than what they did with the RG3. I think Kyle looks at Lance as a different type of person, a different type of quarterback, different type of athlete, not quite as fast, bigger. So we're going to use you as a freaking battering ram between the tackles. Sorry, keep going.
No, almost more concerning with the way in which it appears Kyle views Lance to be, because with Robert Griffin III, at least it was more often he was in space, whereas with these runs into the heart of the defense, Lance is taking brutal shots.
That's what running backs are for. What?
Yes.
You don't need Lance to get you 4 yards between the tackles. What?
No.
You run that stuff on the 2-yard line when he can cross the goal line and not get hit. You don't run that at midfield so you can maybe get 5 yards while he takes 7 hits. Come on.
Yep.
Come on.
So year 2 for Robert Griffin III and Kirk Cousins, not much progression. You didn't see them take that next step. 3,200 yards again for Robert Griffin III, but 16 touchdowns, 12 picks. So much closer to that 1-to-1 ratio. Drops down from a 65 completion percentage down to a 60. Kirk Cousins takes a real tumble in completion percentage, dropping from 68% in 2012 to 52% in 2013. Only throws for 850 yards, 4 touchdowns, 7 picks. People always talk about Kirk Cousins as a player that Shanahan loved, coveted, drafted, and developed. Kirk Cousins did not have a good season until his second year with Sean McVay.
Right. That's right. Good to remember that. So at this point, Kyle was over in Cleveland working with, basically electing not to work with Johnny Manziel and focusing his time and effort on Brian Hoyer.
Yes. Choosing not to play Johnny Manziel. So that's what happens in 2014. He takes over the offensive coordinator position with the Browns, 1 year with Hoyer and Johnny Manziel. He doesn't appear to have helped develop poor Johnny in the
maybe there was nothing you could do for Johnny.
No, he had his own issues.
Yeah,
I'm not going to fault
issues.
Kyle for that. Not at all.
Sure. Yeah.
Not at all. But then flash forward, Atlanta Falcons 15 and 16 comes in to Matt Ryan, who is not a rookie, but in his 8th year as an NFL vet.
I think he's been to Pro Bowls already. If I've
been to Pro Bowls. A consistent 4,000-yard passer from 2011 on. So he already has 4 seasons above 4,000 yards passing. He's a hell of a
quarterback. Yeah.
Hell of a quarterback. Your dad's not so fond of him. I think he turned him a loser.
What?
But
so random.
We all have our own
strong feelings about Matt Ryan. I certainly don't.
Yes. So 2015, he comes in and it's a pretty good year. 4,600 passing yards, 21 TDs, 16 interceptions. And there's no doubt that he takes the next step in 2016. Close to 5,000 passing yards, 38 touchdowns, only 7 picks, drastically cutting down on that TD to interception ratio, increasing the average yards per throw by almost 2 yards from about 7.5 to 9.3. So credit to Shanahan in that year. He did develop Matt Ryan. But again, back to the idea, it's not a rookie quarterback.
Develop Matt Ryan. He just improved the offense around him.
Yes.
He improved the offense around him. He put a good system around him, and it's a very complicated system that takes hell long for people to get down, but they did. But give some credit to Matt Ryan too, and those players. And I had some good players. I had Julio Jones. Everyone writes off Sean McVay like, well, he was really good in those first couple of years, but he had Todd Gurley. He went to the Super Bowl. He had Todd. Kyle had Julio freaking Jones. So yeah, they put a little. They got Tevin Coleman and Austin Hooper, and they put some nice pieces around them, but the core was in place.
Yes.
It's a good spot for him to be in.
Yes. He merely came in and maximized a player who you could argue is one of the most, much like McGlinchey. He comes into the room and you say, wow, he could be the CEO of a company, right? Kyle seems to love that type of a personality. And I think that that's the type of individual he can be very hard on. He can provide his very honest and direct and sometimes negative coaching to these individuals. And they're older and more mature and more able to receive that criticism.
Right. It can have an effect. It can be effective, but from what I heard, or for what's been reported, the relationship was quite strained at the end after 2 years between Ryan and Shanahan. And after that Super Bowl, and they lost, Ryan said on the record, well, the calls were coming in late. Of course I would have liked to change some of those passes to runs, but the calls were coming in late. And Kyle was like, well, you didn't need to take those sacks. So I'm just saying, Kyle, I don't know how, I don't know if his style works with even a guy like Matt Ryan long-term, because the evidence wasn't there. He left.
It's not there. And the final chapter is obviously 2017. Kyle comes over to the 49ers. 2017, Bobby Hoyer, CJ Beathard, Jimmy G. You can forget about Bobby Hoyer because literally the 49ers did. If you go to their website and look at the stats for 2017, he's not
Brian
there.
Hoyer. Who is Bobby Hoyer?
He's not listed. You had to go to ESPN if you want to see Brian Hoyer. Brian.
Is there a Bobby Hoyer? There's got to be a Bobby Hoyer.
No. There probably is, but I'm thinking of Brian Hoyer.
Oh, okay. That's too bad. We're going to call him Bobby from now on.
I mean, literally, you can forget about him because I've already forgotten his name. The 49ers forgot about him because they didn't put him on their website. The stats are not there. You have to go to ESPN to see him.
It didn't happen. The Bobby Hoyer era in San Francisco never happened.
It only lists CJ Beathard and Jimmy G. There is no Brian Hoyer or Bobby Hoyer for that matter.
Maybe you searched for Bobby and you couldn't find.
Probably typed in.
Okay.
Bobby.
All right, Bobby.
So, I mean, if you look at CJ, I mean, I guess you could argue that there was some progression there, right? 2017, 1,400 yards, 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 55% completion percentage.
So much that they let him walk in in unrestricted free agency. They're like, goodbye. We're signing Nate Sudfeld.
We see potential, so you should go take that potential to someone else.
Yeah. It's like at the end of Dumb and Dumber, they're like, hey, we're looking for a couple of guys to join our tour bus. Oh, right down that way. Exactly.
Are you in luck?
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Yeah. So I guess this is 20 minutes of us saying maybe this isn't the best place for Trey Lance to be.
It really, really doesn't seem to be. I mean, when you look at Nick Mullins, I don't think that you can point to anything. You see a maximization of the skill set within the system, but you don't see any clear progression from one year to the next.
His best start was his first start.
Yes.
It was.
The statistics around how wild he was within his first 13 starts are phenomenal, but that's because he came out of the gate going gangbusters, never really took it to the next level.
That's true. So is Trey Lance in the right spot for his development? Not based on history and evidence and all that stuff, but Kyle, you're still, like 41 or whatever, and you've never had a talent like this. And I also want to say something like, it's clear that Kyle doesn't want Trey to really be the starter this year. And I don't know why. There's but let's give Kyle the benefit of the doubt and think that he has the best interest in Trey at heart and is thinking, you know what? I just want Trey to play next year. And there's so much I can teach him on the bench this year. I don't want him to go out there and look bad and make everyone, because I don't want him to lose confidence. Let's hope that that's what he's thinking. So that's why when Trey starts against the Cardinals, he's like, well, I'm just going to use you in a different offense. So there's no pressure before the game started, there was a report. He can't even win the job. And then you look at how they used him. Well, we're not going to let you run play action. We're not going to let you be on our offense. It's just something else. So I think it's clear that Kyle, maybe Kyle has a long view here. And he's like, next year, you'll be ready to run my offense. But I don't want anyone pressuring me to speed up the process. You need to age in an oak barrel for 12 months.
Yeah, he must agree with Rich Eisen that there is zero heat to his seat.
Yeah, like, I'm going to be here next year. Lance is going to be my quarterback. This is how I'm going to prepare him. And, Kyle's not always right, but this is how he feels that it's going to go. And maybe he's right on this one. I mean, to his credit, Harbaugh did put Kaepernick on the bench for a year and a half, and he was like 4 years older than him.
Right. And I do not think that Kyle is doing anything to tank the season or, anything malicious. I do believe that he's doing what he thinks is correct to win the maximum number of games this year to try and get into the playoffs.
Lance. I'm going to give him that benefit of the doubt.
And to try and maximize the career of Trey Lance.
Yeah. And when he does play, it's like, all right, well, I think what he's afraid of is he plays him in his offense.
Right.
He plays well. And now he's forced to play Lance the rest of the year when he's decided the best thing for Lance is to slow play it. Because if you just put Lance out there in your offense, there's a chance he nails it and looks great. But if you just have him run quarterback power all day, what can he possibly do to win the job? Right.
And if he doesn't nail it, this team is made up of enough veterans on one-year deals or expiring contracts that you have to wonder if at some point you begin to lose the locker room if you're punting and playing for next year, right? You have a large percentage of players that came back with the understanding that we were competing for a Super Bowl.
Yeah. So look, maybe there's development going on behind closed doors in the practice field and all that, but it's discouraging to see them pretty much punt the season on Lance. He's going to be our scout team quarterback when we play. He's going to be Tim Tebow, and next year he's going to be a totally different person. We're going to use him differently. He's going to be different. He better be, Kyle, because if he's not, and he looks like a rookie next year, then it's going to be so easy to go back. Well, you wasted his rookie year, Kyle. Why did you do this? And then you'll really be on the hot seat if you still have a job.
Yes. I can't imagine anyone, even Rich Eisen, not believing that Kyle would be on the hot seat next season if we fail to see a winning season this year and fail to see development of Trey Lance. You have to imagine.
That's fireable right there. That's a double whammy you can't take. Let's move on because we have 8 more topics.
Whammy.
And limited time. Development versus maximization. Explain.
So we kind of got into this and led into it with the last topic. Is Kyle Shanahan really adept at developing players, or is he more reliant on being able to put players in the best position or system to succeed? And this has come up several times this year when we're not talking about the quarterback position. When Kyle appears to expect players to develop themselves. Yeah. I think that you look at the Brandon Ayuk situation or flashback a year ago.
There. Let's talk about a position different than quarterback because this is prevalent throughout the roster.
Yeah, it really is. It would appear that Kyle Shanahan's stance on Brandon Ayuk is Brandon Ayuk needs to get better.
Yeah.
The question that I have is, as a coach, what is your role in that, Kyle Shanahan? How do you not bear the responsibility of developing that?
And player? Wes Welker, you hired a wide receiver coach who is pretty inexperienced. He's Wes Welker. He had a very particular skill set. He's a 5'7" slot receiver. What does he have to teach Brandon Ayuk? They have nothing in common. And where is Wes Welker's track record of success developing developing wide receivers? Ayuk hasn't improved. Debo's having a good year. Debo Pettis can get better.
And you could argue that he answered the call, that there was the same challenge issued to him of go reinvent yourself over the offseason, come back in phenomenal shape, and then we'll plug you into this system and you'll have immediate success. And that appears to be what Debo was able to do in the offseason. That's fine if we want to talk about what are we going to do in 2022, but we don't have an offseason in between now and the next game, right? We have practices. We have opportunities for coaches to add to these players' development, right? And the question for me is, what style of leadership does Kyle Shanahan believe in, and does it mesh with this idea of getting players to the next level?
I think he thinks leadership is overrated because he doesn't make a concerted effort to really be one. I think his whole thing is like, look, if you're like Jim Harbaugh and you played in the league and you kind of have that natural rah-rah ability to get people fired up, great. But if you can't, if you're not that naturally and you try to fake it, they'll see right through you. So I'm just going to keep it real. I didn't play in the league. I was a bad college wide receiver who probably was only on the team because my dad's Mike Shanahan. So I'm just going to not do the whole rah-rah stuff and just come to you with my game plan for the week, and you'll either be impressed or you won't. And I think the problem is no one's impressed anymore. For years, it was like, man, starting in 2016, it was like, this guy's hacked the system. This guy's got it. He's in the matrix. He's got people wide open. If only he could just get guys who could execute his brilliant stuff. But now it's like, dude, I think you might be stuck in 2019, man. I don't know what's going on here, but you haven't joined the rest of the world in 2021. Please join us, Kyle.
He has. It's crazy to me when you look at Kyle Shanahan and his particular style of coaching. If you compare the expectation of having players develop themselves to someone like John Harbaugh, if you ever go and watch John Harbaugh and his belief in servant leadership, for John Harbaugh, it's all about how can I make you more successful? How can I help you? Help
Right.
me help you. What do you believe is the correct course forward? You see it when he wants to go for it on fourth down, right? He knows he's going for it already, but he looks at Lamar. You can see him say, hey, you want to go for this?
What do you want to do?
Of course
What
Lamar
you want
wants
to
to.
do?
He knows the answer to that question before
but
he
let me
asks
empower
it.
my quarterback.
Empowerment. Yes. Absolutely. Creating buy-in. Do you think that Lamar now, after having said, yes, we should go for it on 4th and 2, is now personally invested in getting that first down?
Of course.
Absolutely. The entire nation just watched him say, yes, let's go for it.
Yeah.
He is emotionally invested in that play.
Yeah.
You don't see that from Kyle Shanahan.
I don't either. And if they were to, it's going to be interesting. Saleh had it. D'Amico has it. D'Amico may have it more than Saleh, because Saleh made a big thing about it, like jumping up and down, the veins popping out. I'm so enthusiastic. D'Amico is just kind of, it's a little more effortless. He played. Everyone knows who he is. And he's got that same level of enthusiasm, but just, I don't know, a little bit more gravitas, because he's freaking D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah. I'd say he has a little cooler vibe than Saleh. Saleh had a very macho, robust aura to him. D'Amico comes across a little bit cooler, a little more relaxed.
Robert Saleh was very also crafted. This is what I have to do. I didn't play in the league, but this is the image I want to portray. Whereas D'Amico is a little bit more, maybe he's crafted too. It doesn't come across as much. Like, this is who I am. So I've been since I was the rookie of the year in 2006.
Right. He has some of that coming in. To your earlier point, it felt as if Kyle Shanahan was miles ahead of the league in 2016, and that his offense was untouchable. And therefore
2019 too.
Yeah, you didn't really look at these shortcomings, but now it seems as if the league has caught up, that other offenses that are running similar systems to Kyle's are having greater success than he is running his own system. So you have to start looking at these deficits. You have to start looking at what are the areas that Kyle needs to improve in the offseason.
If he gets the opportunity to. Are the 49ers issues fixable in your opinion?
So it feels as if there are two types of fixes that exist. And this may be an oversimplification, but bear with us here. There are roster fixes. So you can say to yourself, our team is just not good enough. We don't have the talent. We don't have the players to operate within this scheme. We've lost too many to injury. If you're saying to yourself that that's the case with the 49ers, then 2021 is basically shot. Those are problems that need to be addressed in the offseason. Building the roster is typically something done in the offseason. You could try to make a trade here or there, but the players available are few and far between. 49ers have very little draft capital to get anything done, so most of those problems would have to be addressed in the offseason. But the other side of it is quick in-season adjustments. So the big question that needs to be answered is, are the 49ers good enough? Are they deep enough as a team to fix these issues, or are the holes too big for them to take that next step?
What's interesting is we talk so much about roster holes, and I don't like the construction of the roster because really people get hurt all the time.
Yes.
But I don't think the problem is their roster right now. Like, their defense is playing really well. Their defense gives them a chance to win every week. And having a guy like Debo on your offense who can be a running back, a wide receiver, wow. Also, neither quarterback has been a liability. Both guys have played well, in my opinion. I think Jimmy played well. I think Lance played well in his own way.
Yep.
So are the issues fixable? I don't know, Kyle. Are they? I don't know, Kyle. Are they fixable? Because it's on you. Where's your run game? Where's your offense? Where's the identity? If you can figure that out during the bye week and come out with a new plan, then yeah, I think the issues are fixable, because D'Amico's holding up his end of the bargain. The defense is playing really well. Debo's playing like a guy who could be an MVP.
Goodness gracious.
You got two quarterbacks. You could use them both. You could show a little creativity. But right now, your running game is asking your Trent Williams and your four other sort of mediocre to subpar offensive linemen to just push and get movement at the line of scrimmage. They can't do that.
No.
It used to be all about getting angles and hold on. Kyle used to be the king of misdirection. I was just on a podcast earlier with Taylor Price. He called him the king of misdirection. I was like, yeah, man, where is that? The hell is the misdirection? Where are the jet sweeps? Where are that stuff? All you have is Trey Lance running between the tackles with no type of nothing to get the defense looking anywhere else. Kyle, It's on you, man.
Running into the strength of the defense quite frequently.
It's on you. Like every week, your game plan sucks, and you have 7 points at halftime. Like, what's that? It's on you, man.
Rough way to start the game. So going through a couple of the problems with the run game specifically, do you see as the 49ers return to health a little bit, obviously not getting Raheem Mostert back at any point this game. So that's a finite issue, but everyone else that will be coming back, is that going to be what the 49ers need in order to get the run game back on track?
I mean, they didn't have Kittle or Mostert against the Cardinals. And yet Elijah Mitchell averaged 4.8 yards per carry, but he could only get freaking 9 carries. Trey Sermon has looked good for weeks. He didn't even get involved in the game until the end. It's really hard to say. I mean, it seems like, to me, the problem with this team is that it has no identity. In 2019, what they did when they felt confident was put the quarterback under center and just beat you running plays that they looked like they were drawn up in 1985. And there was nothing you could do about it. Them and Kyle Juszczyk and Kittle, is nothing you could do about it. Now, like, they're in the shotgun. They got a spread offense. It's like, what is this stuff? I don't know what they want to be this year. It's really weird.
And this offensive line that used to be able to hang their hat on their run blocking has so far been unable to do that. It goes from very elite on the left side to barely serviceable all the way on the right. And it just gets progressively worse as you go down the line. And they're running
to the right consistently. Like, how about the left? Guys, I really don't know what Kyle's saying. It's like, it's my thing. Is he having a bad year, or was he never good? Was he never good? Because he's terrible right now. Are the issues fixable? Yeah. Kyle, if you're good, yes. If you're good, yes. You're doing it right now. So let's see, man. I think everyone thought you were good.
He was able to scheme around multiple backups on the offensive line during that 2019 season. Yeah, so I don't understand.
Was it all Raheem Mostert? Was it all Mostert? Because we thought it was you. Everyone was like, hey, man, you created Mostert. No, maybe Mostert was just a gift from the football gods. And without him, you're lost. You don't know what you want to do.
The league certainly thinks that Kyle created Mostert because Mostert wasn't able to warrant a trade or a contract, right? I mean, it's tough. It seems that the 49ers have several problems that are addressable, but complex ones. The deep ball is another one that we can't seem to fix. But obviously, if Brandon Ayuk is not going to get significant playing time or targets, who do we really have to fix that issue?
I mean, one issue on offense is playing your best players.
Yes.
Whatever you want to say about Brandon Ayuk, he's better than Travis Benjamin. And this last game, Travis Benjamin got 3 targets. He caught none of them and had a holding penalty. Kyle, you got to play your offense is the problem, and you're not playing your best players. Dude, that's on you.
Play your best players and prepare them to play. To pull Travis Benjamin up off of the practice squad for the first time in the year and rely on him over Brandon Ayuk, that's the most frustrating part to me. If Travis Benjamin had been a part of the starting offense from the get-go, I would understand it a little bit more. It would still be a perplexing decision, but you would get it. When you're talking about a practice squad player and then wondering why he didn't look spectacular in his first game action, crazy.
Is Kyle Shanahan in the 49ers doghouse? We always talk about Kyle's doghouse. All the players, I think like the whole team is in his doghouse right now. Is he in the 49ers faithful doghouse?
I'm seeing it. For the first time, it's not just a few fans here and there. For the first time, it's reasonable fans like myself starting to wonder, is this really a good fit? I agree wholeheartedly with Rich Eisen in his first 2 suppositions that Kyle is, in fact, a genius offensive mind within the NFL. I will give him that. I also believe that another team will scoop him up. Take it one step further. I would say that the 49ers could still trade Kyle Shanahan for multiple first-round picks at this point.
Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders, Jaguars. Like, there are some opportunities for teams that would want a head coach like Kyle Shanahan, for the very reason that Rich Eisen is indignant about the question of a hot seat. Within the NFL circles, he's still talked up repeatedly and frequently.
Yeah.
But within the 49ers organization, in his 5th year, it's fair to ask these questions. It is not unreasonable. It is wrong that Rich Eisen is indignant about that question. It's a fair question to ask when you look at his overall record.
Yeah. I mean, how can you be so, how can you react like that, Rich? He's 2-3 in year 5. How can you act like he's just intrinsically this great coach? He hasn't proven it. He has promise. It's fair to say I believe in him and I think he's going to put it all together, but he hasn't put it all together. No one can say he's put it all together.
No.
He had 1 year where the stars aligned for him and he did a good job, but so did his defense. And really, like, he started off 8-0 facing a bunch of bad quarterbacks. I mean, things broke his way.
Very much
so. He did a good job. But if you look at his track record, he does a good job like once every 3 or 4 years. And that's not good enough. We're seeing it again. He may do good next year, but are you cool with a coach who can only get it together once every 3 years? Once when it's like only when his job is really on the line. He's like, okay, fine. I'll do a good job now. Fine. I'll fulfill all the promise that I hinted at in earlier seasons.
The good seasons are the outliers for Kyle Shanahan, right? Yeah. They are not the norm. They are not the regular. They are not what should be occurring on a regular basis. And you do have to wonder if he's creating a culture wherein the team gets to a certain level of adversity, a certain number of injuries, a certain number of losses, and just gets into the, well, shut it down, pack it in for next year, because we've done this before.
Yeah. We got injuries. We'll be back next year.
What do you feel like Kyle has to do to get out of the doghouse? Because in my mind, you would think the first thing is, well, you should probably actually commit to a quarterback and solve that issue. But it seems he's done that, and it continues to be Jimmy G. And I have to believe from what I'm seeing and hearing from fans, that's not going to get him out of the fan doghouse.
If he goes back to Jimmy G, he has to win a lot.
Yes.
He has to make it worth the while. You got to win a lot. And if he goes to Trey, he's just got to make it seem like he likes Trey. He's got to coach the game in a way that makes it seem like he wants this to happen. And if he can put Trey in his offense and stop using like he did against Arizona, I think Niner fans will be happy. I think they'll be a little bit more patient than maybe Kyle thinks.
So you think it's not going to take much, that all fans need is a glimmer of what could be with Trey successful in Kyle Shanahan's offense?
Fans need hope.
Yes.
And I think even Jimmy winning, it doesn't provide the same level because he's not going to be here next year. And if he beats the Colts, that's nice. But it doesn't mean they're going to beat the Rams. It doesn't mean they're going to win a playoff game. So I really think that pivoting back to Jimmy, ending a losing streak is always nice. It gets you a little heat off you in the short term.
Yes.
But the best way to get Niner fans like all in your corner again and not just a little is making Trey is the hope. Trey is the future. If you can get Niner fans being like, God, this is going to be so great next year. Kyle is the right coach for him. This is the right system for him. Look at what that system, what Trey can do in that system. If you can get people saying that, then he's good. Then he's good. But if he's gonna say like, no, we have to run 2007 Florida offense with Lance, and people are gonna say, you know what, maybe we need a new coach because we're more committed to Lance than you at this point.
Yeah, fans are not going to put up with another game where Trey looks like he's going to get murdered on the field. I mean, just watching his mother react to that was tough to watch in the stands.
Just the fact that Ian Rappaport had a report the morning of saying there's nothing Trey could do to win the job, and then seeing what the game plan was, which was basically putting him in a position where there was nothing he could do to win the job, was disheartening. All I know is that when Kaepernick finally got his first start, it was clear that the play caller and the head coach wanted him to take that job. And they gave him every opportunity to do so, and he did. It sucks when you see a quarterback, a young one, and who you perceive is sort of like his coaches are working against him. It happens. We saw it with Alex Smith. It happens, and it's too bad, and I hope that's not happening here.
It's back to asking the question of what are you actively doing to develop this player? When I look at the last game for Trey Lance, I don't see an opportunity for development. I see an opportunity for him to get hurt. I see an opportunity for him to do some of the same things that he did at North Dakota State, but not those things that he did at North Dakota State that we expected him to do within the Kyle Shanahan offense, playing under center, dropping back in play action, turning his back to the defense frequently, as he did in college, as I understood it to be the reason that the 49ers were going after Trey Lance.
And again, I think what Kyle's doing is he doesn't want to he said, I don't want to create a quarterback controversy. I don't want the fans to make the decision. I don't want the decision taken out of my hands. I want to do this when I want to do this. So when Trey Lance plays, I'm not going to let him do anything that makes this take on a life of its own. It's a quarterback controversy when I say it is, which is, again, just a mistake, dude.
If you don't want a quarterback controversy, you can't trade up to number 3 in the draft and keep last year's starter and pay him $27 million.
Agreed. All right, we got to talk about Kittle. Is he a leader on this team? Can he be a leader on this team?
The question is, can he stay on the field in order to be a leader? Because you would think that in order to lead the offense, you need to be on the field in order to do it. I look around that offense, and there seems to be a bit of a leadership void. You can't blame Jimmy for being unable to step up and take that leadership role. He got his legs cut out from underneath him when the 49ers drafted Trey Lance. And it's a bit unfair to expect Trent Williams to take that next step when that's historically not really been his personality style, to be a vocal leader. I do see progression there. I think it's impressive the way he has stepped forward. And when I see him at the podium, it's a much different individual than his first year with the Niners. But I think it's fair to say that he's not the type of vocal leader that we hope the offense would have. It seems that that's the role for Kittle. But can you be that leader if you're not in the huddle, if you're not on the field? Or does it require someone to actually be there to rally the troops?
You have to actually be there. He's not a leader. He's not there. So, and even if he were there, I don't see how a tight end can lead an offense. I'd never looked at him as a leader. He was the emotional spark of the team. There were functions that he had, but leader, I mean, on offense, the leader is the quarterback. It is. And there can be, secondary leaders, maybe a running back. Frank Gore did for a time, Joe Staley, but it's the quarterback. And the fact that the Niners don't have a starting quarterback right now, one who's really entrenched for the long haul, how could you have a leader? How could there be a direction? There's no identity. There's no direction. There's no leader on offense. I think the lack of leadership is an interesting symptom of Kyle's indecision. It's interesting.
And you look up and it doesn't come from above. You don't get any sense of leadership from Mike McDaniel. He defers to Kyle Shanahan on everything, right? If you ask him why he's not in charge, he'd be like, well, why should I be in charge? I'm not that good. Kyle's great.
Yeah, Kyle's the best of all time.
And Kyle obviously is just not that type of servant leader or that type of vocal leader. He's much more introverted, much more of an intellectual. It doesn't feel like he can be that head of the offense, nor does it seem that he wants to be. He wants players to take accountability, but you're just missing that key player, that key identity for the offense. And until someone steps up and fills it, I have to wonder if this offense can truly come together and be great.
It's got to be Debo. Honestly, no, it's got to be. There's only so much a wide receiver can do. There's only so much a left tackle can do. There's only so much a tight end can do. It's got to be a quarterback. And neither quarterback can take over until Kyle makes up his freaking mind. It's Kyle's fault. But Debo, you have all the license in the world to say whatever you want to say and whatever. If you don't like the direction of the offense, say it, dude, because you're the offense. You are the offense. Say what you want to say.
Facts. I would say that it's probably got to be a bit more of a group coming together and sharing the responsibility. And I don't think that's ideal. I do think in an ideal scenario, you have one individual that is the vocal leader of that unit.
Tom Brady.
I just don't believe that. I don't believe that Jimmy G is capable of being that. And I don't think Kyle's going to give Trey the opportunity.
They haven't empowered either one to be that. Jimmy's on the way out. Trey isn't ready. Neither one has been empowered by the coach. Look what you did, Kyle.
It has to be some combination of Trent Williams, Juice, Debo, those players getting behind Jimmy and supporting him in some way, and it being a team effort. And It just leaves me wondering if we will see in-season fixes for this offense or whether it will struggle all year, not find an identity, and leave us with a conundrum at the end of the year.
Conundrum. All right, moving on. What is Jed's play here if things go bad?
That is the conundrum at the end of the year. What will Jed do? Jed's going to have to look at the situation and really judge for himself. Is this situation tenable going forward? Can we, in fact, move forward with Kyle Shanahan as the head coach and be successful? And I start to ask myself, if I were Jed York, what are the criteria that I would use to determine if anyone within the organization needs to bear responsibility for this season if it continues to go badly? Obviously, if it turns around, people will forget this bad start. If the 49ers make the playoffs, I think that probably erases most of the doubts for the organization and for a vast majority of the fans in particular after a 2-3 start. I would think that in that scenario, that's the cleanest way for both Kyle and John Lynch to make it through safely to next season. Just make the playoffs.
Well, here's how I see this going, man. I'm very clear about this. I think this is what's going to happen. Okay. If they miss the playoffs here and Kyle keeps going on with really not showing anything with Trey Lance and pretty much putting him on the back burner until next year, and there's not a clear reason for hope going forward. If that's what happens, I'm not sure they'll fire Kyle.
Okay.
Because I don't know if the fans will want that. I'm not sure. But what I think Jed would do and probably should do and needs to do is fire John Lynch. I think that's a start. And it's not that it's John Lynch's fault. It's that whatever the arrangement is in terms of personnel acquisition, it's not good enough. Because if they miss the playoffs this year, it's because Kittle was hurt, Mostert was hurt, Verrett was hurt, Jimmy was hurt. All the players who are always hurt were hurt again. And it's like year 5 of whatever you tried to do, it doesn't work. Meanwhile, look at Les Snead and the Rams. Good roster. Look at Steve Keim and the Cardinals. Good roster. Those are legit GMs, not like former players who were announcers and then decided to dabble. Like, no. These are career personnel men. So if Jed wants to shake something up, it's fire Lynch. Bring in a really respected personnel guy from a good team to be Kyle's boss. And not even that. To make a decision, you can keep Kyle or you can replace Kyle. It's up to you. I give you whatever you want to do. And if Kyle likes you and you like Kyle and you have a good relationship and you can work together like Les Snead and Sean McVay do, that's your choice. But if Kyle's lukewarm and you're lukewarm on him, we'll trade him and we'll get our first round picks back. That's what I think. You bring in a strong general manager and let him decide.
I agree with the idea of needing to bring in that strong general man. If things go badly, let me put that preface out there.
Right, they could still make the playoffs.
They could. If things go badly, needing to make some change that changes the dynamic within the organization.
Who fixes the injury-prone roster and really runs this like an NFL team as opposed to like a Madden franchise or something.
Right, because this is the first year where those injuries were clearly as a result of specific decisions that the 49ers made consciously of basing a large percentage of your offense around a player who is, yes, one of the fastest in the NFL and also someone who gets hurt pretty frequently. And then, surprise, Raheem Mostert gets injured. Not a real shocker there, right? You lose a large percentage of your offense. You don't have someone to replace him. Your number one option at cornerback, right? Yes, you invested in him. He was a free agent acquisition. You spent some draft picks on bringing in cornerbacks. You addressed it, but you addressed it poorly. And so I think it's fair for fans to start asking these questions. And I think that Jed needs to be asking it as well. The point where I would differ from you is I don't think you can give the new GM the option of letting Kyle go, because if that gets out, you've just now cut the legs out from under Kyle. So I think you have to bring in a GM and let him know, hey, you are the GM of this franchise. It is not a figurehead role for you. You come in, you control the draft, you control personnel decisions, and you control the final say in everything a GM should within the league. And you're going to work with Kyle to begin with. If things go poorly, we will move on from Kyle and you'll be able to select his replacement. That would seem to me to be an ideal sort of a scenario, because as much as I like John Lynch, someone has to answer for the roster at some point.
What if Kyle doesn't like the guy? What if Kyle's like, I can't work with this guy?
That's a fair question.
I think, you know what I'm saying? Because at that point, it's like, well, you got to go then.
Yeah, at that point, that's on Kyle. That's on Kyle forcing
Yeah.
himself out of there. But that would be a circus, right? Can you imagine what 49ers fans would go through if that's what ends up happening, where you bring in someone new and then Kyle gets upset and now Kyle's gone? Ooh, it would be a meltdown. But I think that, even if the 49ers make the playoffs, you have to wonder if you don't see anything from Banks, Sermon, Ambry Thomas. I have to wonder if at some point Lynch has to answer for a lot of the failures that may not be entirely his fault, but to this point, the numbers are adding up, right? The mistakes are compiling upon themselves, and it truly is hurting them.
Ayuk's another one. Kinlaw's not looking good. I mean, dude. Yeah. All right. The Niners have lost 3 in a row, but at times they've looked like the best team on the field in all the games. I mean, they really shut down the Cardinals offense. They really shut down the Seahawks offense in the first half. They were winning against the Packers with 37 seconds left. Is that something to take heart in? Is that a silver lining here?
I think it goes back to the earlier question that we addressed, which is, can this be remedied mid-season, or is this something that 2021 is shot and we're waiting until 2022? And I tend toward the more optimistic of the two. Surprise, surprise, being a Homer and 49er faithful. So I tend to believe that, yes, in the vast majority of these games, the 49ers have been as good or better than their opponents from a skill perspective, but have just failed from an execution standpoint. And so I think that you have to then place the lion's share of the blame on Kyle Shanahan and the coaching staff. And those to me feel like fixable issues. I don't know that the 49ers will. It's a tall task to ask them to fix these things, but I think that you have to at least have hope as a 49er fan that they can.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed all that. I was switching over to my hotspot. I'm sorry. But I agree with everything you said. It was well put, and it was really
so what I was saying is that Shanahan deserves the vast majority of the credit, but there are some factors that are not Shanahan's fault. So getting into that, what do you view as some of the factors that are potentially not Shanahan's fault to this point in the season? Where is he getting the blame where potentially he shouldn't be? When we look at the health concerns, who do you blame? Do you blame Shanahan or Lynch, or a combination of the two?
That's a hard one. I mean, it's all Shanahan. I mean, in the sense that he wanted Lynch. He didn't want a strong general manager who had experience. He basically wanted a figurehead so that he could do it. And that's why, I think it's basically on Kyle. Like, they're struggling to execute on offense. That's your offense. An offense that executes well, that's a sign of a good coach. You know, like if your offense was out there humming right now, we'd all be praising you. But holding penalties, all this, I mean, it's hard to look at him and say, well, he's actually doing this really well, but he's not getting credit for it. Like, I think what we just saw was maybe the worst 5-game stretch that he's had here. And we're all kind of flummoxed by it. And we expect a lot better after the bye week.
Yeah, to me, it's tough to watch because you can see in most instances that the 49ers are talented enough to win these games, and that it is other factors coming into play. And the disjointed nature of that 49ers offense has to fall at the feet of Kyle Shanahan. I have to disagree a bit.
They have Deebo Samuel, Trent Williams, Trey Lance, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Jimmy Ward. They have a lot of good players to be in the midst of a 3-game losing streak.
It's rough. I would disagree in putting a lot of the blame for the health with John Lynch. And to me, that goes to the point that at the end of this season, he may have to answer for the 49ers failings this year.
It's not the training staff's fault. It's not the training staff. You know what I'm saying? It's not the players' fault.
It is not.
So I just said that this is a good time for the bye week to come. Allows Kyle Shanahan to get his stuff together and sort of look in the mirror. Do you think that it is necessarily a good time for the bye week?
Everybody's saying, oh, thank goodness, perfect time to reset. This is it, right? The 49ers can stop, take a breath, really consider what they want to do. But that's really only true if you have a clear-cut path going forward. And to me, it's not obvious what the immediate fixes will be for the San Francisco 49ers. We say they need to find an identity. That doesn't sound easy to me, right? That
No,
sounds like something, it takes a little bit of time.
that's something you want to find in August.
Yes.
August, not
That's something you
October.
want to have a good idea of coming into the season.
Yeah,
Indeed.
yeah.
And the 49ers don't. So I have to wonder whether there will be a certain percentage of the 49ers players or coaches that are sitting and stewing in these losses, whether there's some self-doubt creeping in, whether there are players who have said, well, we're back to another 2020 episode, and I should probably take the business decision and check out a little bit because I got to worry about my next contract. Voices outside the locker room are getting considerably louder. The fan base is acting a bit manic at this point. You saw George Kittle last night at the Giants game, and a fan's talking to him. It came out on Instagram from Trey Lance's Instagram. A fan asked him, he's like, man, I got you. You got to get better. I have you on 5 of my fantasy teams. Like, George Kittle's just trying to go enjoy game 5 of the freaking playoffs. And he's got to, yeah, I mean, first of all, to 49er faithful, that's just not acceptable. But it's like, that's got to eat at you.
You want to be the people's tight end, you got to deal with that, man. Sorry.
The people are restless.
The people are restless, man. You can't just be the people's tight end and not score touchdowns. Got to score touchdowns, baby.
This is the very first time we have even heard mention of a hot seat for Kyle Shanahan. Like, these things are happening during the bye week, and there's a lot of time to marinate on them.
Hold on real quick. I've been saying a lot about the hot seat. Is it possible that the seat is so cold and he knows it, that's what this season is all about? It's like, look, man, they gave me a 6-year extension last year. They gave me this quarterback this year and said, look, if it takes 3 years, it takes 3 years. So what I'm going to do is say, all right, it's going to take 3 years. It's going to take 3 years. And this is basically a throwaway year. Like, he knows he's coming back next year. And so it's throwaway year. Trey's not ready. Jimmy's not my guy. How creative you want me to be? I just don't have it this year. And there's just no urgency. I know I'm coming back this year. I know we're not going to the Super Bowl this year. What do you want? Seems to me that with this guy, he's good once every 3-4 years. He's good when he has to be. He's good when there's a deadline. Creativity, deadline spur creativity. Maybe he feels like, man, I got to be good by next year. So, you know.
So what you're saying is he needs someone to come in, much like he does to Brandon Ayuk, and let him know that, like, hey, this is when we need you to step up.
I'm just saying, man.
This is the deadline, Kyle.
He's acting so arrogant and so, like, there's no creativity. There's no urgency. This is either a guy who doesn't want to be here or thinks he's definitely going to be here for a while. There's nothing he could do to jeopardize that.
Yes, he certainly is acting in a way that he doesn't believe he's at risk.
I'm good. All right. Last thing, Chasing 2019. It should be the title of a movie that's just really tragic.
Real tragic.
Just like a real tragedy, like Leaving Las Vegas, Chasing 2019.
Yeah, it would be as dark as that with Nicolas Cage. Yeah.
Yes. It would be with Nicolas Cage. He would be
Nicolas Cage as Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, that would be a perfect role for him.
Yeah.
So we came into the season again, high expectations, many people chasing 2019 vibes, right? Really trying to relive the glory days, chasing the dragon. So how far?
You never get the dragon. Sorry.
How far and how down this rabbit hole will the 49ers go if things do not turn around? Will this be another 2020 season where they foolishly pursue it to the detriment of future seasons?
No, I think this is the end. I think next year, a lot of these 1-year deals, they're not coming back. They're not going to do it again. It'd be foolish. I think this is the end. And I think that's about what I want to say. This is the culmination of their Super Bowl hangover. And the Niners Super Bowl hangover was, I think, worse than most teams because they found a way to convince themselves that they really won. It wasn't just that it was a tough loss. They won in their minds. Nick Bosa got held on 3rd and 15. They cheated. The refs cheated. And Bosa got held, and the Niners should have won, and they partied with Lil Wayne afterwards and basically conducted themselves like they were the champions. And that's why in the offseason, they really made no effort to get better. It was all about keeping it together. And even today, it's all about keeping it together, recreating the past as opposed to getting better. That's the way I look at it. Did I lose you? Am I gone? Rob, what happened? Where'd you go? Where's Rob? Is Rob gone? Rob is gone. Dang. All right. See you, Rob. Is it just me? Let me know. Real quick. Am I still broadcasting? Are we live? Am I here? Or is it Rob is gone? Rob couldn't take it. Rob got sad? Okay. Well, if he comes back, we can talk. I'm going to answer all your questions. Starting with Eli's. Kyle cares more about his swag and wannabe quarterback by throwing a football across the street, nailing the neighbors. Jed needs to choose Kyle or Lance. That is an interesting point. I see what you're saying. Hold on. I have to scroll up through a half hour worth of comments to get back to 11:30. Bear with me just a second. Oh, here he is. He's back. Should we let him back on the show? Should we let him back on the show? Hey, what's up?
Back.
He's back. We have to go through a half hour's worth of comments.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Here's $5, says this man. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Gammon says the problem is their aging and inefficient offensive line that cannot execute in the run game and pass game. Once there's an injury, the depth will be exposed. Yeah, Alex Mack hasn't had this like transformative effect that he was supposed to have.
No, and we haven't even seen Banks. If we have an injury, it could get really ugly because it's bad already.
Kyle looks like an emotional wannabe. Oh, he refuses to develop the future by playing older, injury-prone players who won't be Niners next year. Why did he front the future to not develop the future? I don't get that, man. If you're slow playing this and it's all about next year, why are you playing Mohamed Sanu and Travis Benjamin? That's silly.
Where's the development?
See, when he plays Travis Benjamin and Mohamed Sanu, then I start getting Bill O'Brien vibes. Like, what are you daring them to fire you? Because it's like, that's to me what you're saying. It's like, fire me. Oh, I got you to trade up for Brandon Ayuk. I don't like him anymore. I like Travis Benjamin is who I like better. Grant, Kyle has never won, trailing by 7.5. Crazy stat. Is that true?
Wow.
Ever? I'll have to put my team on that and see if that's correct. Trent Sherfield must be in the doghouse now. Shake my head. I'm in the doghouse too.
It's like Grant, a lazy Susan determining who's in the doghouse. It's just rotating. True. Somebody is.
Your turn. Yeah. Grant, in 2020, Raheem Mostert requested a trade. What's that tell you about Kyle and the Niners organization in your guys' opinion? That Raheem Mostert requested a trade. That they don't take care of their guys and they think that Kyle makes it think like he's the one. I don't know. Interesting.
That Raheem Mostert wasn't emotionally invested enough in the team to stay just for the potential success that they would have had that year. He's looking out for himself, trying to make sure he gets paid.
Yeah. Smart move considering what's happened. Yeah. Gammon says, Rob, Grant, I understand your need to push your agenda and force your narrative. Grant, I wish that you had someone on your show who wasn't a yes man. O-line needs to execute run blocking, period. What? I think Rob and I disagree on most things here. Gammon, thank you for your $10, but that was very disrespectful.
I respect his opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I give it $10 worth of respect. Sorry. Alex says, when do we become a pistol spread offense? Yeah, I don't know. That is really weird. When they drafted Justin Fields, oh, wait, they didn't.
Very frustrating.
Quite. Now we're at 11:48. We're making progress. Oh, here we go. Sleepy 1414 says, coaches don't always develop quarterbacks. Maybe they should get a better quarterback coach and an OC that runs Kyle's plays. Trey joined a mess. Good point.
Do you think that Bill Walsh would have outsourced Trey Lance's throwing motion development, or do you think he would have handled that in-house?
He probably would have handled that one. Probably would have knocked that one out of himself. I got this. Thank you. Tom House, got this. Bill Walsh, might have heard of me. Trades, Ertz for 6, Gilmore for 6, Kyle Box. Well, they have Dwelly.
They do have Dwelly. Not quite the need that the Cardinals did for the
tight end position. Can't really trade more picks, man. They don't have picks. They need to get picks. That's what they need to do. I wish Lynch would pull a Billy Bean and trade away Kyle's guys so he's forced to start the roster that he needs for the rest of the season. Maybe they should hire Billy Bean to run the team.
At some point, you wonder if Lynch will feel his seat getting hot and make some moves on his own to persevere.
It was bizarre to hear Lynch go out on the radio and say that Ayuk really hasn't made the stride. Like, dude, that's your guy. That's your resume, man. You might want to say something nice. What?
That was an odd choice to get right behind Shanahan on that one. I mean, it's good to see unity there, but it does leave Lynch out to dry if things go poorly.
Why does it feel like Grant and Rob can draw up better plays and utilize our current offensive weapons better than Kyle at this point? That's a doghouse. That's rough.
Doghouse.
Dang, they don't even trust his play design anymore. 2-15 with another Lil Wayne concert is fine in Kyle's eyes. As long as he gets a little Lil Wayne, he's a big Lil Wayne guy.
He'll get him next year.
Thank you for your $6.66, sir.
That's dark. That's a Halloween gift right there.
It is. Okay, one more. No way the team finds an identity in week 6. Yeah, that's a good point. Offense can't function because of poor personnel decisions in the O-line. We had Anthony Davis, Staley, Goodwin, Boone, Goodwin. You're missing Yapati. Now it's Trent Williams and no one else agree. That's the difference between the Harbaugh years and this year's. That Harbaugh team had a stellar offensive line.
Amazing.
Why does the Niners Reddit hate you so much? I don't go on Reddit. So I don't know. Maybe because I don't go there enough. Maybe I should go there and be like,
good to stay away from places where you're hated. That's for sure.
Usually. In all seriousness, what can you get back for Kyle? I don't know. First?
I believe multiple firsts at this point. I think people in NFL circles are still hot on Kyle Shanahan.
Raiders are suckers. Sorry. Do leaders take rookies to Vegas, then rat them out?
That's a Kittle comment.
Absolutely not. Last one. Sonny says, like anything in life, time and problems will expose you. Shannon's been exposed. Mike Marks had a great offensive scheme, but wasn't a great head coach. Can Shannon just? Yeah. Dude, it's year 5. That's why people are mad. Dude, it's year 5. This was supposed to be, we had excuses for you. But now, I mean, after 5 weeks of Bill Walsh's 5th year, he was 4-1. He finished that year 10-6. And then he never had another losing season, ever. So it's time, Kyle. Like, you're supposed to be consistent as well as good.
Yeah, he definitely, it feels as if people have caught up to him. And if you truly are an offensive genius, then you have to take the next step.
You're always a step ahead. Yeah.
You got to get ahead of that curve. You got to be the one that takes us to the next level. You have to design things that make this offense look cohesive.
That's right. Rob, we got to dip out of here before, well, we can't. We got to make our little covert exit. This was a fun show.
Great show. Remember, I'm going live immediately following this. Head over to my channel. It's just Rob Schuh on YouTube. Head over there.
Head over there right now. Rob is the best. Thank you for watching us. I'll be back later today, 3 o'clock with Sibila. See you then.